Hi creative friends. Today I'm jumping on a trend that's been buzzing around. Busted canvases or exploding canvases or broken canvases. Whatever you want to call it, as soon as I saw it, I knew that Decoupage Queen papers and Pentart products would be perfect for this project. I couldn't stop at just one. I ended up doing two because it was just so much fun. The possibilities for this project are truly endless. You could do anything with this. I started out by decoupaging Iveta's hand-painted checks onto the canvas. This is the part that you're going to cut open. So for the canvas board, which is the backing, I decoupaged Queen Isabella on there. This doesn't necessarily have to be a canvas board. It could be a piece of cardboard, anything that you can paint white so that your decoupage paper pops. Now I had some white around the edges, so I did end up painting. I didn't worry about it being a perfect match because I didn't think it would show too much, but I definitely did not want that white showing. So I took a little bit of time to paint the edges of the canvas board, what remained white. And I'm still kind of deciding what I'm going to do on the inside. I have an idea, but I'm not sure. So this kind of evolved. I started out with a deep red chalk-like paint and painted the back of the canvas that has Iveta's hand-painted checks on the front. And as I was doing it, I thought, I wonder if I can make it look like a damask. So I did a high gloss finish. And then I took Pentart's Velvet powder in red and brown. Now Pentart does make one called Garnet Red, which is the color I was going for. I just didn't have that. So I had brown and red and I mixed those two together. Then I took the French Borders Decoupage Queen stencil and some Pentart Heavy Body Gel in Glossy because the Glossy dries clear. And I put the velvet powder over that so that it was a little bit risen due to the stencil. I didn't quite make enough, so I polished it off with just straight red velvet powder. You can't really tell on the finished product. As you can see, I didn't worry too much about the stencil being everywhere or even or perfect because I knew I was going to be cutting it open anyway. So while the heavy body gel was drying, I went ahead and flipped the canvas over and I used some 3D glue and a toothpick and just dotted a dot between every check. At that time, I grabbed some Decor foils in Bourdeaux so that I could add a little bit of that red to the checkered pattern. Then comes the fun part. I found the center of my canvas and just started cutting. It's a little bit scary, but I promise you can do it. Once you get going and you start to curl the edges of the upper canvas back, you can really see the effect. Now there, you can see when I started to curl it back, in order to cut it enough to get a good curl, it exposed part of the frame of the canvas. So I went ahead at all of the edges and hot glued the canvas back to the frame. Now the longer pieces on the end, I gave them a little bit of an extra curl, which was really fun, I thought. There's a close-up of the gold as well that I put on it because I didn't really like the white edges from where the cuts were. So I went ahead and used a gold acrylic paint pen and just kind of painted the edges and a little bit up on the sides. There you can see that little extra curl. And you can do that just by gluing it a little bit further down. Now, another lesson I learned is that when your canvas board is exactly the size of your opening, it's a little bit harder to get it on there. You'll see that this Peacock one that I'm doing now glues on there very easily because it's as big as the frame. So here I chose one of the Peacocks from the Peacock 4-pack Decoupage Queen papers for the canvas board, and I used jeweled feathers for the top canvas. I was really excited to use the Pentart Chameleon varnish in the gold. I felt like with this Peacock theme it would just be gorgeous, and it really does end up being an intricate part of this project. I absolutely loved the finish of it. So I went ahead and went around my decoupage paper in just some coordinating colors, some blue and green there. And I also went and with some pens, I just kind of enhanced a couple of the elements of the paper. I didn't want them to get lost, so I highlighted some things and just traced a few things to make it continue to pop. And here I used some antique paste around the edges to kind of make it come apart even more. And then I finished off the edges of the canvas. For the back, I went ahead and used the same two colors that I used on the front, just some blues and greens, because again, I'm counting on the Chameleon varnish to make it all come together. And here's where I'm applying it, and I'm not sure it does justice, but it is just really gorgeous on this paper. I applied it to the front and the back, and I felt like there still needed to be a little something here. So I used the Decoupage Queen, Dainty and the Queen Ornate framing stencil with some gold deluxe paste, and that did it. That did the trick. So here's the big reveal. Again, I had to glue the canvas back down to the frame a little bit. And because I learned on the previous one, this time I'm putting the antique paste on the edges of the canvas cuts to hide that white as I'm doing it. And you see how easy the canvas board just glued onto the back. There is a close-up of the antique paste. And this is a really, really fun project. I hope you give it a try. There is a link in the description of all of the retailers for Decoupage Queen and Pentart, so you can find one close to you. And we would love it if you would subscribe to the channel.